So, over-under on how long it's going to take that one guy to get in here.
Instantly. Well, actually, we're... Oh, wait. Nope. That's live. Never mind. Hell, he probably beat me here.
Really? Oh.
Do, 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 do.
Do?
So, again, hi everybody, people watching the archive. We're doing another stream. We haven't done one in a few weeks, because... various reasons, actually.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been busy a lot, alone up to that.
Same. So, just kind of hasn't fallen together. Once again, just basically ran through my list of games and... Yeah.
It's not a terrible game, it's just kind of boring.
Yeah. It's... Remember, like, 2-3 years ago when they first announced it and they released it with a proof of concept thing that was basically just, I don't know, RWBY fighting Beowulfs in the snow, and that was all it was.
Yeah.
It was a pretty solid proof of concept. Yeah, they didn't actually build on that at all, really.
No, not really.
So, yeah. Wait, do I have? Oh yeah, they added the costumes thing.
I was not aware of that, actually.
Yeah. I think that's DLC that's paid that I don't have.
Ah.
I think? Yes, because it pulled up a Steam window. So yes it is. And I'm definitely not getting it. Because why the hell would I get it? Waste of money.
Look at all these wonderful costumes that
Yeah.
you can get.
School uniforms and the dance uniforms is what they are. So...
Boy, these sure are great costumes.
Yeah, so... This game is basically... character action game, co-op, with practically no story.
Yeah,
it's
just
pretty
how I
weak.
Just how I like my character action games. Oh.
And actually not that much progression now that I think about it.
25 XP.
What do you even get for leveling up? I actually can't remember. It wasn't... You don't get more powerful. I remember that.
Do some air combos.
I'm trying to pull up the thingy menu, the level up menu, but it's not. I've forgotten what the button is, but also I've hit every button and it hasn't come up.
Do some air combos. Do good combo.
There you go.
That's a good combo.
Does not actually let you adjust controls or anything, so I can't actually do anything about that. That's... Yeah, this game is well developed. Just gonna...
How many characters? How many
Oh, it's finished.
how many character action games have you played, Casey?
Quite a few.
How would you rate this on your character action game rating?
Like a 3.
Yeah, it's not... that. Even that's being generous.
Yeah, I mean, this game is, you know, well, it's a tie-in.
It's certainly
game.
It's certainly no platinum game.
It's a tie-in game, and it plays like a tie-in game, which is to
I
say,
heard the
kind of rushed out. Doesn't really. It's kind of thin in terms of content. It doesn't really engage anything you might actually want from an experience of the tie-in property. It's just kind of a thing that exists.
Yeah.
I heard that the creator of this game was going on to make something else, some other game.
Probably.
Like before it was finished, you mean, or?
Like, what was it? It was in the news earlier. Creator of RWBY Apocalypse.
Okay, Zero, if your mic is quiet, you can't really afford to mumble.
It's true.
I'm sorry, I'm mumbling. Okay. Grimm Eclipse, whatever.
This is a solid base of a game. It just has no depth.
Yeah. It's like the way it worked was there was a fan who made a fan game that was basically a proof of concept for this. And Rooster Teeth were like, hey, yeah, that's really cool. Come work for us, we'll actually make it into a game. And we'll publish it.
It was Arbiter. That's the game that the guy who made this game is making.
And, yeah, they did that, they made the game, and like I say, they didn't really build that much on it, but in absolute fairness, it's the first game they've ever made. This was not a field they were in any way, shape, or form.
Hey, you know, at least we have RWBY in the new BlazBlue game.
That's true, I guess. I mean, yeah, they've gone from doing game development in this, and that was pretty much the only time they've done it. Oh, and they did a mobile game where there's a zombie apocalypse, or zombie alien apocalypse, because, you know, that's funny and wacky, I guess. And it was set in the Rooster Teeth offices. So basically it was another fan wank thing where you got to wander around the Rooster Teeth offices as Rooster Teeth employees and fight alien zombies or something. Yeah. They have a niche.
Actually,
Let's call
As
it.
somebody who doesn't care about Rooster Teeth, like, at all, that's kind of,
I did want to play that one, actually. It kind of sucks that it was bad.
I don't know whether it was bad. I just know that it exists and it was kind of fan wanky, but...
Only thing I've really seen much of that was Rooster Teeth was RWBY, because zero interest. And, like, I'd never really been into Rooster Teeth, but back when they started showing off those RWBY trailers, I got really interested, and that's when I started watching the first couple episodes of RWBY, and then fell off. But never saw, like, I never watched, like, Achievement Hunter, or I never watched, like, any of their other shows. I remember I tried the first couple episodes of Red vs. Blue, but the format was just so weird and bad that I just stopped.
Yeah.
In fairness, the first few episodes of that show are pretty rough. I mean...
It came out in 2003, and the best video codec you could get for that was, like, 230 by 4 something.
Yeah.
To put up on the internet realistically and have people be able to watch it.
It was at this point it was almost unwatchable, and I was just like, this is too much trouble.
Yeah.
I have shitty internet, so I have to watch stuff in potato quality anyway. So that didn't actually bother me. It was just as far as production goes, it definitely shows that it's one of their first productions.
It was their first production. It's the reason the company exists. And
yeah,
if you start from something like, say, Season 6, then it's much better because it's actually designed to be a reintroduction for people to just start getting into the show who maybe don't want to deal with all the crappy production of the very, very bad... Yeah, I died. I don't care.
Well, you know, sometimes in life you die.
Yeah. The kind of bad production that you have to deal with when you're making machinima based on Halo 1. That's just how it works. I'm going to switch characters because it's way easier this way. So, yeah, there are ways to get into that show, but starting from the very beginning is probably the worst one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zero, did you ever try the Witcher series by any chance?
Yeah, no, I played Witcher. I beat Witcher 2 and Witcher 3, and I tried Witcher 1, but I couldn't get past the Euro jank.
Yeah, that's kind of why I stopped. I really tried, but I couldn't play it.
You can put the effort in, but you can tell it was kind of... Because it is like a Polish developer, and so you can feel the Euro jank. And it's rough, the first one. The second one's much more playable. It's still rough in some parts.
I understand
But the third
they
one
basically got rid of all of that crap in 3 and just made it way more playable and approachable for people that actually play video games that aren't developed.
The third one's fine. The combat's nothing amazing, but it's fine. Like, the other games are just... yeah, Bomber BCM and that one guy commenting on there's a weird buzzing sound on the stream.
Is it when I speak? They'll get back to me eventually.
I'm listening to it, and no, it's just constant. It's consistent.
Yeah.
Moving my microphone.
So, hey, guys, how you doing? We were just
Hello.
talking about Rooster Teeth and how I don't really care much for Rooster Teeth, but RWBY was okay, I guess.
Honestly, you guys, the Zero Interest series, I'm actually really enjoying. I've been watching the Konosuba ones.
Oh, thanks.
I did watch an episode here and there of the RWBY one, but I've seen RWBY, so
Yeah.
yeah.
The RWBY ones, if you've already seen RWBY, you know, like, I guess it would make more sense to pick the episodes we'd have more to talk about. But Konosuba has been pretty interesting because I think we've already finished recording the first season. We're recording the second season, and that first season is pretty rough comparatively.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was actually about to ask if you guys were doing season 2, because you keep talking about how much better season 2 is.
Mm-hmm. It's
Kinda...
practically a repeat of what we did for RWBY, only all
Yeah.
roles are reversed.
Yeah, because the first season of RWBY was really not great. Second season was better, but again, it had some pretty big flaws. Third season was good. Fourth season had good moments with some not so great moments.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's a pretty fair assessment.
Like it's kind of problematic that right now the majority of RWBY, in terms of just like seasons, you have a lot of problems with it. But like there's so much good potential to it that I want to keep watching. And like Konosuba just kind of had a bad adaptation in the first season, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So I understand.
Yeah. They cut out a character for the entire first season, and then reintroduce that character out of nowhere in the second season. It's a bit problematic. And yes, I'm talking about the cat, Casey.
Yeah, kitty.
What's the name of the other goddess, by the way?
Eris.
That's might be it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's also the name of the money.
Yeah. She has the currency named after her. She's super popular.
Ah.
Probably because she's actually a decent, nice person. Goddess. Yeah. She's a recurring character in the series.
Was it her or the other character that was introduced in like episode 10? I think it was. Or maybe not 10, like 8.
8. It was Wiz. The Litz girl.
A large section of her plot arc was completely cut from the show for reasons.
Yeah.
So they just introduce her by saying, "Oh, hey, remember that time when we did all that stuff that you never saw? Yeah, wasn't that fun? Yeah, cool."
Yeah, it was really bad. That was episode 8, the saltiest episode, I think.
Yeah, the episode you described where they switch parties for the one adventure. I want to see that. Like, that sounds really fun.
It was. And they introduced there's this monster called the Rookie Killer, and they all fight and they take it down. It's interesting to see how Cosmo works in another party, because he's not nearly as much as a dick, because they don't deserve it.
Is he like able to keep up as far as combat goes, or is it like he's pretty hard?
Because he's an adventurer and he has all this variety of skills, he's able to keep up by like, kind of playing jack of all trades plus like a scouter type role. And like he keeps up and he's able to coordinate them pretty well, and they work together very well. But then he meets you see Dust, who went to go surround himself by Cosmo's quote unquote pretty ladies, and he's like, take them back, please.
That is just so funny to me.
It's just like everything that we did turned out awfully. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm taking my party back.
I'm surprised Cosmo lets him have them back.
He couldn't get rid of them if he tried.
That's true.
But yeah, I recommend the light novels for that series because they're actually pretty funny. And there's a lot of stuff that you don't see in the anime. And like 10 volumes are translated for it. And I believe the show both seasons only cover 4 volumes total.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
As I keep mentioning, it's the DXD format where they do 2 volumes per season and split them half and half.
Mm-hmm. So like multiple characters have multiple arcs. New characters have been introduced, and then those characters have arcs. Like a lot has happened. Oh, that one guy says, "Hey Zero, who do you think is going to be the main antagonist of JoJo Leon? We seen anybody with who can stand on par with 4C or Made in Heaven?" I've not been keeping up with JoJo Leon. That's JoJo Part 8, but like considering what the main character's stand is, I think it's going to be at least on par. Probably with D4C, but not Made in Heaven, because Made in Heaven or Stairway to Heaven was the really kind of broken one. Yeah, the main character in JoJo Leon has a stand where he can use bubbles that steal the properties of things, and like all sorts of crazy stuff. He can steal things with bubbles. It's very weird and interesting. So it's like, I'm going to steal the friction from this thing, for example.
And it takes it away from the original object, or?
Yeah, or steal like vision, but like when the bubble pops, then I think that thing returns.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see now.
So
keeping up with the JoJo trend of making things seem really overpowered, and then they're actually not. They're powerful, certainly, but like
considering the people considering the people he fights, it's not as overpowered as you might think. Because, gosh, everybody has super obscure powers that they've all figured out how to use in that series, and it's amazing. Like, this power would be useless unless you knew this power and were creative with it, and everybody is.
So, I've basically forgotten the trick to playing this. There is one where you can play it and win every fight incredibly easily. I've forgotten what it is, but I don't care to learn to remember.
As Blake, or just in general?
As any character. Like, it's do this one combo and it will stun them, and then do another one and you'll be able to finish them in one hit. And
yeah.
That's pretty much how you play the entire game, and it doesn't deviate from that pattern until the final boss, which is just kind of a bullshit fight throughout the entire thing. And
hey Ethan. Hey Ethan. The buzzing is inexplicable, and I believe it connects to the center of the universe, so I don't know.
I don't have any idea what it is. I would have thought it was, like, my microphone, or my microphone's picking up my computer, but my computer's actually surprisingly quiet right now, so I don't know what it is. It might just be that my mic is busted and I need to get a new one. It
might just be the game as well. It started buzzing once you were on the menu of the game, I guess, so I don't know.
I really don't know when it started, actually.
Bomber BCM says, "Hey, I'm going skydiving on Saturday. Any ideas for a cool line I could say before jumping out of the plane?"
So this is how I die.
There's always There's always the classic Hasta La Vista Baby is fun. Why would you shoot somebody before you drop them out of a plane? This is going to be incredibly painful for you. Do some Bane posting. Quoting Bane is always a good choice.
No, it isn't.
No,
Yes,
it
it
isn't.
If it's
I think-
daytime, make sure you say, I am the night, and then jump out.
You know, I think I found a decent strategy for this. Now, actually, just basically do this over and over and over again. It seems to be working quite well.
Do you have to play as Blake for this section?
Blake is the only character
No.
I have at level 10, so this is just so I don't actually have to try particularly hard.
It doesn't. Not that that really means anything.
No, it
I-
kind of doesn't.
Like I said, you don't really get more powerful when you level up. It's actually kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's not like you level up and you get better stats and so you do more damage. It's you get points that you can choose to put into an ability that doesn't really change all that much.
When level ups don't matter, that's when I immediately quit a game. Like, if you're gonna put level ups, like, have them actually matter. And I had the problem with Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, is they have level ups, and you can also bring in friend Pokemon, right? That you get from, like, doing quests and everything. So I get, like, a level 50 Dragonite to help me out. And I'm, like, level 20. And I level up, and all my stats, like, barely increase. And I notice there's an incredibly small difference in the damage he's dealing and the difference I'm dealing, and I feel just dead inside. Like, it's not that as big of a difference as it should be. And it's incredibly painful to level up in that game.
Yeah, the Mystery Dungeon games are kind of not great.
Well, like, some of the Mystery Dungeon games are really good. It's just
My
Mystery
understanding
Dungeon.
is the second generation of them were the good ones, and then everything else is absolute garbage.
Yeah,
What was it? Time, Sky, and Darkness, I think were the ones.
yeah. Sky is the best one. If you're gonna play any of them, play Sky. That's just kind of how it is.
Yeah, I think it was it Time and Darkness were the first two that came out?
Yeah,
The second gen,
Time
and
and-
then Sky was like the
Improved
yellow
version
or
of the other.
crystal or
Yeah.
emerald or whatever. Yeah.
So Sky's the best one if you're gonna play one, because it has the good story of the second generation ones and the better improved gameplay. And then after that, they did a bad one. Then after that, they did a slightly less bad one, and that's Super Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah, I watched a Let's Play of, I think it's Gates of Infinity was the name of the third gen
Yeah,
one?
that's the bad one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious in how bad it was, though. That was a great Let's Play. I recommend people just look it up, because holy shit, did Pokemon Rob have a fun time playing through that. I say a fun time, it's kind of one of those ambivalent things where you're like, I hate this, but it's so stupid, I have to love it in a weird way.
Yeah. Ethan F says, so neat discovery, if you take off your right headphone, you'll no longer hear the buzzing. So I guess it's just in the right channel. I don't know why.
That's very strange.
Bomber BCM says, Zero, I got into a debate with my friend about Pokemon. Are there any unliked, he said unlinked, I'm guessing unliked Pokemon you don't mind? I don't hate Licky Licky at all. He's just a pink marshmallow man with weird hair. He's better than Lickitung to me. Like, a lot of people in the Pokemon, I guess, fandom hate most starters.
In
I
fairness, a lot of
usually don't-
starters kind of suck.
I don't mind those starters. Like, as long as I have my good starter, I'm fine with everybody else's starters.
Yeah, there's always a good starter and then a mediocre one and a bad one. It tends to be how it works. Like, everyone loves Charizard, Squirtle is liked, and then there's Bulbasaur, which was liked because it made the game easy mode, and that was more than anything else.
Like, with the newest gen, you had your Rowlet, you had your Popplio, you had Litten. and everybody was like, Lidden's the best, and then they hated on Poplio, or they were like Lidden and Rowlet were the best, but they hated on Poplio, and then that meant people went to start liking Poplio.
Yeah,
it had the inverse effect.
Yeah,
but like I liked all of those, and their evolutions are pretty good,
no,
despite some people
Poplio.
get.
I think fucking stupid.
People got upset though that Lidden's final form is like a heel wrestler.
I know they did, like me. I did.
But you know what? I said screw it. I love this. This is such a heel turn. It's perfect.
Stage 1 evolution for life, motherfuckers. Put an Eevee light on that shit.
Ethan F says, "Wait, when did Blake get a blade beam? You'd think she'd use that in the show. Yeah, you think she would.
This entire game is non-canon, so
yeah,
actually, this entire game is entirely canon.
Seriously?
It takes place between seasons 2 and 3.
Oh wow. RBCM says, "I really like Farfetch'd because he's an eternal underdog." That one guy says, except for Greninja, which is great. You guys want to talk competitive Pokemon?
Oh.
You see, I have a lot of friends who are into competitive Pokemon, and they do a lot of breeding, and they breed shinies and maxi, like IVs and EVs and everything. That's not really my scene. I made like a competitive Honedge, and I was good with that. I guess
I have always liked Farfetch because I think of it as the Welsh Pokemon, even though Welsh is more... Rabbit is the food of choice for Welsh than ducks, but ducks is still prominent enough that I'm going to claim it anyway. Suede actually did... I think I've mentioned in the podcast that he is doing a review of the entire first season of Pokemon, week by week.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
He just did the Farfetch'd episode, and I actually now understand what Farfetch'd is supposed to be. Like, the cultural thing of why it's a duck with a leek. That's a Japanese phrase is, oh look, there's a duck with a leek on its back, is basically something along the lines of a fool and his money are soon parted. Because it's a duck carrying the ingredients for duck soup.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Farmer PCM says, competitive Pokemon is cancer. I'm not going to let my Ditto get gangbanged for EVs.
Oh. But that's its only purpose.
Oh. And Ethan F says, but what if the Diddy likes it? Stop it. Oh. I actually really like Ditto as a Pokemon.
Don't kink shame.
The thing about Ditto, though, is you're mating with yourself. That's how it works.
Yeah, basically. I mean, you watched the Futurama film with the guy that time travels and has sex with himself? Because
I didn't, but now I feel like I need to.
God, those films were great. It's the Futurama film season, basically, that's what it was.
Futurama was a show that I never really watched, but I would catch it on TV sometimes, and I'd see things like Bender himself as a planet floating through space with people living on him.
And yeah, where it's the microcosm episode where he's got a little universe of people just living on him, and he has to either try and help them survive, but then that kind of fucks up, so he just kind of leaves them alone, and then that fucks up. And then he's like God.
Playing God.
Then he meets God.
Yeah, I remember that. But I only catch a few episodes. Every time I catch an episode of that, and every time I never forget it. That's just how that show is.
Yeah.
I gotta watch that episode again. I forgot how good that one was.
Yeah. Wait, no. Maybe you're like a space station that collided with God. And it's like, that does seem probable. I do seem to have a proclivity for interacting with folks in a positive manner, my good chum. Or something like that. I love that episode. It's just fucking genius. Just all over. I love Futurama. I wish
the most overqualified writers.
It's fantastic. I want to watch more. now I have something to do. I'm going to watch more Futurama when we're done with the stream. I've been bored for so long, but now I have something to do.
BCM says, if Pokemon were real, you know the amount of hatred non-competitive Pokemon would have towards strong ones. I always think that Ash's Pokemon low-key hate Pikachu because he gets to travel, even though he always makes Ash lose. Ash's Pokemon...
Oh.
Yeah. Pikachu... The fact that Pikachu is still a Pikachu... Like, he literally has stronger choices everywhere. And I feel like Pokemon suffers from using Ash as the main protagonist every season. And it's like, if they just made the Pokemon Adventures manga, in which they change the protagonist every season, and...
the Pokemon Adventures manga is a little hardcore, maybe.
It is, but, like, I mean, just at least ape that style a little bit.
Yeah,
It's
just changing up the character set every season, the new area and everything.
Because you change the character, you kind of change the type of story you're trying to tell, and that makes it more interesting.
Also, you can allow the characters to win and have a happy ending instead of just doing the same thing forever.
Being perennial failures for their entire lives. Yeah, that's...
Oh! Did you guys hear they're making a movie doing the Johto region to, like, doing, like, the whole, like... Johto region and everything. Yeah. And you know that they cut Misty and Brock?
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? What?
I'm not following. I thought you said it was
going
to be doing the Origins thing, where they do like...
They're doing a movie. They're doing a movie, doing kind of like a, I guess, retelling of Johto.
Oh, the anime. Okay.
Yeah, and they've cut Misty and Brock from Ash's friend group, and they gave him
with who?
Two kids.
Great.
That's very strange. Like, they were probably the most beloved companion characters of the show ever. I'm baffled that they just got rid of them entirely.
Well, by what demographic of the audience? Because I don't suppose new fans are going to care, but it's the older fans that want to see the old characters return.
Yeah, and
all right, Ethan. Catch you later.
Yeah, catch you later, Ethan.
Bye.
Have a good day at work.
Yeah, but like,
I mean, yeah, maybe it's only part of the audience that are going to care, but why alienate that part of the audience? There's literally nothing to be gained by it.
It really doesn't make sense.
They're doing new things. Like they're for some reason the new event Pokemon Marshadow is involved in the story, and I saw somebody had like the fully evolved form of a Lydon on their team, and so they're making it. I don't know.
They're doing the retcon thing of, yeah, they were always part of the Pokemon world all the time, even way back in Johto. That was always a thing, right?
This movie isn't off camera.
This movie isn't canon, but it kind of really sucks. And like, I have some friends who are defending it, saying, "Hey, it's not a retelling; it's something different." I'm like, but it's not the point. Is that if you're gonna make a movie doing Johto, at least have the characters from Johto. Just kind of stinks. Barisiam says, "Hey, hopefully Ash can actually earn his badges this time."
Did he not in Johto?
There were some occasions where he straight up didn't, but...
I'm pretty sure in Kanto he didn't earn any of them. No, Cinnabar is pretty much the only time. Then again, I think that one actually ended in a tie.
On a lot of occasions, he doesn't earn his badges. Let's just say that.
When Team Rocket attacks, he saves the gym from that, and they just give him one.
Basically, yeah.
That one guy says, "Hey, Marshadow is broken. That thing steals boosts. Doesn't mean it belongs in Johto." Barry Sims says, "In Kanto, he got them from pity." Steven Z says, "Didn't earn the Grass Gym badge. That's for sure." That's the one
I
that
can't.
immediately
That one,
find.
basically, the gym was burning down, and he's like, okay, I'll get my Pokemon to help. And they're like, thanks, you can have a gym badge.
You're obviously qualified by helping put out this fire.
Yeah. Yeah. The Cerulean one was kind of an annoying example. Like, basically, halfway through his match with Misty, Team Rocket attack and try and steal the Pokemon, and, you know, they stop it, and then afterwards the sisters are like, yeah, but if he used Pikachu, then he would have won right off the bat, so yeah, let's just give him the badge.
Let's see. Steven CC says he made Sabrina laugh herself into submission.
Yeah, that happened too.
Last badge he really got from being Team Rocket's Bomber BCM, and yeah, for Brock, it was the sprinklers that really did that one. If those sprinklers hadn't gone off, like, that's the dumbest thing. It's the dumbest thing because there's a whole thing where it's like, I can't beat the Rock Gym. I just have this Pikachu, and you go meets the guy who's like Brock's dad or something, and then he's like, you know, you gotta work and you gotta trust your Pikachu and you gotta stick with your Pikachu.
You gotta trust your Pikachu. Let's do this training that is basically torturing it for a few days, and then it'll maybe be strong enough to shock rocks into defeat.
It does, like, it's not like Onix is a ground type, so electric moves do work on it. They're not very effective, but they work. But at the same time, come on, just grab a new Pokemon. That should have been the series where it's like in the games where you're like, I have to have more than just this one Pikachu.
Yeah.
If I'm going to through.
They just don't do that. And you're supposed to hate Gary for the whole show, and the first time you see him after Palette is basically, yeah, Gary has actually been catching like 40 Pokemon while you've just been bumbling around with the few that were given to you, basically.
Yeah, you could
Gary's
probably
doing what he's supposed to be doing, and Ash is just kind of bumbling around like a loser.
You could probably restructure that show to make it just make more sense and be better. Like, oh hey,
is it fanon or canon that gym leaders have to defend the town they're in? That's one of their responsibilities.
Depends on the adaptation. Like, for the manga,
depends on the
that's
region.
canon.
Okay, because him defending the gym would make sense, him earning the badge that way, but it's still kind of cheap. Especially when they do it every time.
I remember, I think it was in the Black and White game, specifically, the gym leaders defended the towns they were in. But they typically tend to take care of their towns because they're the strongest person in the town, usually.
Pretty much.
So it's kind of falls on them.
I'm so glad for fanon in the Pokemon fanfiction community. Like, just on the basis of a lot of just how Pokemon works, it's just so stupid, and they've explained away so much more of it to make it actually make sense. That good stories can actually happen in it now. They rarely do, but they can, and that's the important part.
You guys ever watched the series of Pokemon Generations that they did on YouTube?
That was... I don't remember which one that one was.
That was they did a whole thing where they did episodes of Pokemon Generations, which is them telling Pokemon, kind of doing a Pokemon Origins style of we're covering the regions and untold stories in those regions using actual game characters and game logic for fights, rather than Ash's just throw a Pikachu at it. And it's interesting, and it actually has a lot of world building to it. But that is not the show we're going to get, because that wasn't popular in Japan. But it was popular in the West. I wonder why.
It's almost like... I almost wish they would let, I don't know, Nintendo of America or whatever American branch of the Pokemon company it would be, just do an adaptation in the American style and let them take a crack at it. Be completely non-canon to everything else that Japan's making, but just let them give it a shot and see how it goes. They'll never do it,
like,
but I'd love to see
the problem is Japan loves Ash and Pikachu. but the West is tired of it.
Hmm.
But like, Pokemon's a Japanese property, so they kind of have to cater to their audience. Is what they're going with, at least.
But that's the same thing again, like, why alienate a certain subset of the audience just for the sake of doing it? Like, they could cater to everyone, and they will probably, even if they did an American adaptation, find an audience in Japan for that. Not the giant audience that they have with everything else, but, you know, there's no harm in catering to both parts, if you can.
I mean, like, the whole thing with, like, Metroid, for example, to just pull another thing, is Metroid never sold well, and it was, like, popular in the West, but it was, like, it sold decent enough, but it was never popular in Japan, so it kind of went away for a long time. But now we're getting 2 new Metroid games, even though Japan's not a big fan of it. And, like, you can do that. You can have things for the Western audiences. But it just kind of, I don't know, it sucks.
It's not a priority to a Japanese company because it's very not visible to them a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's, okay, it was successful in the West, but why should we care? It's very strange, to be perfectly honest.
I just want to say, this game you're playing looks terrible.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different with a group of people. I don't know. I've never played with anyone. I couldn't get it to work.
Just
Not really.
the UI alone, and just how the flow of this game seems to go. It's just spawning wave after wave.
Yep.
We protect this control center, and it's so uninteresting.
Yep. And I still can't open my level up menu, by the way. Just want to point that out.
Yeah, this is the whole game, by the way. It doesn't really change from this.
No, there's a couple of set pieces, like there's a bomb at one point that you have to get power to, like it's on a cart, and you have to get crystals that will power the cart so it keeps moving. But while you're doing that, you're also just doing this still.
Yeah, you're still fighting off waves of enemies.
If you're out there and you're just listening to us play, at this point it's more commentary than it is this actual game.
Yeah, there's not really much to talk about.
Yeah, that one guy says something else, please, Casey.
Yeah, no, we'll be switching it up soon.
Will we? Or will we just stop the stream? Because, I mean, I don't know what else we would do for today. Anything else in line?
I can tell a little funny thing of I was doing a kind of a private stream over Skype with screen sharing with my friends the other day, and so we were playing Sakura Spirit, which if you've seen on the Steam store is it's the worst. It has every character has the same face and body, and it's just boobs.
Oh yeah,
I guess
that's like a series of games. Is the Sakura?
Yeah.
Bollocks.
So what I was doing was I was just like I showed them a bit of the dialogue, and they were like, "This is boring. This is boring." So I skipped over to the first CG, and what I was doing was pretty much every CG I would stop, hit print screen, open it up in MS Paint, and then I would just make crappy memes out of it, and it was the best.
That sounds really fun. Also, you were not kidding. Like, this is terrible.
It was there's one picture where the dialogue for the girl was saying, "I'm a mage," and I copied that, I put that into MS Paint, I made it, "I'm a wizard," and I put like the scar on her head, and I had a Hagrid in the corner saying, "You're a wizard."
Nice. Okay, so I checked my recommended games, or rather the ones that are on sale right now. And I found Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator.
Oh yeah, that's the Game Grumps game.
Yeah.
Are they doing that? I have to watch it now.
Well, let's play when, Casey.
What?
Well, when are you gonna do Dream Daddy?
I'm not intending on it.
You have to. It's the only way.
Oh god, we're gonna start pandering. Okay, fair enough. We'll do that.
Maybe wait till it's on sale. It's a full $15.
Yeah.
That feels like too much.
Let's just have the whole cast do that. Let's get Kenshi on it too.
Alright, we'll have to arrange something for that then. Ah, shit.
He's been working a lot, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's called a full-time job and a hobby that he, I suppose, technically gets paid for? I don't actually know. But
I don't know. I could probably get paid doing the LARPing thing. I just need to make weapons, which I know how to do. It's not hard.
Slice of the blacksmith.
I'm a foamsmith, but yes.
yeah, this literally works on every enemy. This sucks.
That combo.
The shoot slash thing over and over
Like,
and over again.
The thing I hate the most is when you get to a game and you have hey Neil, just take out your right headphone. We don't know what's going on with that buzzing sound, and we're kind of too far in to try to fix it. It's apparently just in the right channel, so sorry about any inconveniences.
There's still like a fuzz sound in the left, though. It's not like a perfect fix. And even then, I mean, it's just, you're probably better off just lowering the volume and ignoring it.
Yeah, that might be a solution. Sorry. I think it's just the game. Alright. Boy.
What were we talking about?
Talking about that you should play Dream Daddy.
Yes, that. That's going to be a thing.
When that goes on sale, like...
Oh my god, this basically stun locks every enemy.
See,
Yep.
when you find an exploit like that and it makes all the other moves worthless, that's when you know you have a bad game.
So I don't even need to see, thankfully, because I'm back into a corner so the camera's doing weird things, but oh, actually, something got past me. Alright.
The most
Yeah,
interesting gameplay.
Yep.
Thanks, RWBY Grimm Apocalypse.
Eclipse, but yes.
Apocalypse, because this game is an apocalypse.
It's really not, it's just painfully mediocre.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
It's-
hurts.
I don't know whether to call it mediocre or just straight up unfinished. Like, it is technically a functional game, but it's the bones of a functional game.
I'd honestly, I'd give it a 3 or a 4.
Yeah. Like I say, it's unfinished the way a tie-in game tends to be unfinished.
And, you can have good tie-in games, that's possible, but it's kind of just
It's very rare.
par for the course, I guess.
One thing I'm confused about is I don't know if it was rushed or what. It was put out before it was ready, but they didn't reference this in the show, to my knowledge, so they didn't need to put it out at any time.
No.
Nobody learns anything. Nobody has any character development. Nobody gains anything. So, yeah.
It's like when they said Persona Q was canon.
Yeah, pretty much. See, that's a set piece.
Bomber, to be fair...
Not an interesting one, but it's a set piece.
Yeah. And Bomber, when's the last time a Spider-Man game has been good? Spider-Man 2? The one with the good web-swinging one, and then that's it?
Amazing Spider-Man was passable. I played that one.
The new Spider-Man game for PS4 that they keep showing at E3 and won't release actually looks pretty promising. I know there were a lot of QTs in that demo, but they said that's only story stuff. So it's not normally how it is. So I'm willing to give them a shot, give it a swing. But,
and Bomber, I think the tie-in game for Mad Max being so good, which it was a fairly good game, barring the fucking story that is terrible, because it wasn't a tie-in for a long time, and then they changed some stuff late in the game, or late in the game of production, not in the game itself, and that's why it was good.
You guys remember the King Kong tie-in game?
Vaguely. Yeah, that was like an Xbox 360 launch title, I think.
I mean, let's see, that was the... I think that was on PS2, actually.
Well, yeah, PS3 came out after the 360 did, so that makes sense.
I remember playing that on PS2, and like that game was just I couldn't really beat that game, so I put in a cheat code to get to the final level, and I was like, "This is good. This is good. We're in New York. I'm trying to shoot down King Kong. This is fun."
So only the last little bit of it was good.
Like it was decent, but like it had a good final level, which is all I really wanted from that game.
Yeah, it's like sometimes tie-in games just have a really good concept, and that's good. Like, it's a good concept for a game, and that's fantastic. But the problem comes in when it's still a tie-in game, so it's still going to have the stupid, incredibly short time frame for development, and the very limited budget, so they can't actually realize it in any meaningful way. Like, if this game had the budget and scope of your average Platinum game, and maybe the tone behind it, then it could have been something spectacular. But because it just didn't have that time, didn't have that budget, didn't have that particular experience in the development team of how to make a game like this, like that, it's just kind of uninteresting.
I think the thing that kills me the most is no character can gain anything meaningful.
And plus, I think the thing where this kind of is limited, it's limited by the scope of what the show's done so far and where they've been in terms of locale. And like they added in a few new things, but like imagine if you could like go to where Salem and all them are as the final sort of level. That whole twisted area.
It would. You basically have to make the game non-canon at that point.
Yeah.
I know, but what I'm saying is if the show was farther along to the point where we actually had seen the characters get to some more interesting places when this game came out.
They could have done that, but have it as different characters. Like, you could have a lot of the game playing as, like, the main cast of RWBY, because that's what everyone cares about, but then have, say, a level where you're an experienced team of huntsmen and huntresses, and you go to that area, not realizing what it is, and get so in too deep over their heads, and just find that and get slaughtered.
Hell, that could be the prologue of the game, just to set the tone.
Do like a Taste of Power thing, where they give you all the abilities that you would unlock throughout the game as the RWBY characters, but just, have it be as an experienced hunter team. That would have been fantastic, and would have been a great way to introduce the game and do interesting set pieces, but they, didn't have the scope.
Back on the topic of tie-in games briefly. I was a while back. I was playing Breath of the Wild and I was super into it. And my mom walks up and she says, "The animation looks bad. I like the PlayStation 1 Hercules better. That had better animation." And that killed me. That killed me so much. Like everybody in my family disagreed with her, but she was adamant. She thought it was the best looking game.
It wasn't pretty good.
It was a pretty good game, but it made me a bit salty, I will admit.
By the way, this is the final boss.
Really?
There's 4 waves, and then you fight a giant Deathstalker that's glowing green. That's it.
Really?
Really?
Shouldn't Deathstalkers just be an enemy type at this point?
Well, it's a mutated Deathstalker. That's basically the plot of the game. This scientist is trying to make mutated Grimm that are stronger and obey him so he can kill other Grimm.
Wouldn't it be more interesting if it was like multiple Grimm stuck in one as like an abomination? Wouldn't that be a much more time?
Yeah, but people want to fight a Deathstalker, so because it was in the show.
A Deathstalker could be just an enemy type. It doesn't have to be, or it could be an earlier boss. It's just like for a
if this
final
game had
boss.
more scope, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm making myself depressed.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they do another RWBY game down the line. This one sold quite well, is my understanding. Like, as in...
The fandom is...
in the charts of top-selling games for quite a while. Well.
The fandom is a big part of that, though.
Yeah, and if they make a fantastic game to back it up as well, you know, it just helps them, really. So if they actually put some budget behind it, great.
I'm not sure how many people would actually buy a follow-up RWBY game because this one just was not good.
If they made
but Assassin's Creed.
If they made a follow-up RWBY game that was good, people would buy it. That's just how it is. Even if they made a follow-up RWBY game that was mediocre, people would still buy it.
Probably, but I feel the sales will not be initially as strong. Even if it's a great game, like it just will not sell as well instantly. It might get sales over time.
It would sell exactly as well instantly because it still has the fandom behind it. But it's a question of whether it would get the additional audience that perhaps merit the increased budget, and that's, I imagine, a conversation that they're having internally at the studio right now, or have had.
RBCM says, Mad Max worked because it just used the world. I just want the game to use what I liked about the world to build a good gaming experience. Also, I can't admit tie-ins never give enough time to develop because it must come out alongside the movie. If Shadow of War was a direct movie tie-in, then it would probably be forced to come out now, broken and unfinished. Just like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Are those Atlas soldiers? Or mechs?
It's robots that the guy built because he's a scientist, and scientists are obviously... experts in every field rather than just biochemistry, which is what the mutated Grimm would require.
Yeah, so, that's not quite how science works, but okay.
Give me 5 seconds, Zero, and I can show you the final boss of the game.
Nope, this makes me sad. Also, my dad said we'd go for haircuts right about now, but he's not knocked on my door, so sure.
Here we go. There it is.
It's not showing up on my thing yet.
25 seconds.
Yeah, we're still catching up. I will say I love games as... that's actually pretty cool, but only because I love Radiation Green. I'm a huge fan of Fallout.
That's not a final boss.
Yeah, it is. And then it puts its stinger in the ground and you hit the stinger, and that's how you kill it.
Okay, I was gonna say, what the hell is happening to his health bar? It's not taking damage.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Hey, you have to kill it the same way they do in the show, guys! You have to cut off its stinger, that's how you win! Isn't that cool?
No! No, it's not! Not even slightly, that's just annoying.
Oh, this makes me sad.
And I died. Yeah, it's also really easy for the thing to kill you, so, yeah. There you go.
And I noticed that. None of the characters really have a lot of health. Even John, who, canonically has a lot of aura.
Yeah, it's, you're expected to dodge a lot. That's,
I mean, I know it's an unfair comparison, but most other action games, that actually have a budget behind them, like Metal Gear Rising, or even Star Wars The Force Unleashed, as bad as a lot of that game is, it has a lot of... It is a tie-in, and it has a lot of weight to its final boss, because you're fighting Darth Vader, usually.
Yeah,
and then,
a lot of this game is walk, kill basic Grimm, walk, kill more basic Grimm, walk, kill maybe a couple of robots, walk, kill more basic Grimm, and that is the entire game, and it doesn't have any interesting set pieces or anything to do. It's just that over and over again until you get to the end of the game.
Yep.
I feel like with somebody who's experimenting with Grimm, you could have stuff like, I'm going to try to combine human and Grimm to make some sort of abomination-type enemies you can fight. Or, I'm going to mutate multiple types of Grimm together to create absurd sort of chimeras. But, this is just...
You know what would have been great? If the main characters would have been Team Caffeine, or Coffee, or whatever they are.
Coffee,
yeah.
You would have a lot more freedom there. You could actually develop characters and have fun stuff, and like it wouldn't even need to affect the main story of RWBY because there's a lot of side stuff.
I know people want to play as those other two teams, but it's okay to have one team just do side games. You know,
yeah, just have a team that's meant to be for the games, and then have them be developed in interesting characters as well. You can do that, and you'll still have the audience from, you know, the show, because if you make it canon, then it's something they want to see because it's part of the show canon, and that's important, right?
And you have those teams, and like that team, that the game team crosses over with the show, and they show up in the show, and they meet up with RWBY, and you're like, okay, so that's what this team was doing.
It's certainly possible. I mean, The Walking Dead has managed it really well. Like the people in the video games have not shown up in the show, and they show no signs of doing so, and I'm completely okay with that.
I think in the new season, one character from the show shows up in The Walking Dead game, and also Glenn is a character.
I know Zero has to go, so I'm just going to kind of sum up. Basically, the first thing I said about this game was that it's pretty much just another proof of concept. Yeah, they just wanted to show that they could make a RWBY game and actually put it out and make it somewhat worthwhile and appealing to fans. They did. So now maybe do something interesting with it, please.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
You have a good concept. Be more inventive and creative with it.
Yeah.
You can just brainstorm and already come up with good ideas here, and I think that anybody can really do that for this show. It's easy. So.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. We're pretty much just going to end the stream here because I got nothing else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Suggest games to us. Honestly, we don't really know what to play. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so, bye everybody.
Bye.